Brand new girl, so I'm feeling all good inside. Feel like I put some DJ Khaled and everybody done told me I'm your bro. You can't just get on Jay-Z's stage without that, like.
Hook T-Pain is not just a hitmaker. He is the one who redefined American music. The god transformed autotune from a technical effect into a chart-topping weapon, a genius from which the whole world benefited. But ironically, the very technology he created turned against him, becoming the knife that stabbed directly at his career. And most recently, the internet community was stirred up when during an interview, T-Pain slammed the table for the first time and revealed everything, every name, every backstab, every hand that pushed him to the brink of bankruptcy. And the name at the eye of the storm is DJ Khaled, the one who built a billion-dollar empire on the backs of black men. But the shock didn't stop there. T-Pain also revealed another new name that caused $40 million of his career earnings to vanish in an instant. Why did it take 20 years for the truth to come to light? Why would someone who once called T-Pain brother choose to cut his life short? This is not a misunderstanding, not a small amount of drama. This is blackballing, literally. Don't take your eyes off it, because after this video, the true face of Hollywood will reveal itself without needing another explanation. 1. Starting point of breakage. Fahim Rashid Najm was born on September 30th, 1985 in Tallahassee, Florida. A long, difficult-to-remember name, but the world later called him by a name that was only 2 syllables long, T-Pain. And the interesting thing is that the name isn't meant to be cool or showy. T-Pain means Tallahassee Pain. A childhood scar, a mental bruise that he carried like a heavy backpack throughout his life's journey. Fahim was born into a working-class Muslim family, not rich in money, but rich in will and fairness. His father, Shashim Najm, created the community program, Homeboys to Men, pulling at-risk children out of the cycle of violence. His mother, Aliyah, is a Bahamian chef, a woman whose hands are calloused from hard work, but whose heart is always soft enough to keep Fahim standing strong. Music came to you, not through the dream of being an artist, but through the need to survive. Bullied at school and looked down upon by his friends, Fahim found the only place where no one ostracized him: music. At 10 years old, Fahim turned his tiny bedroom into a makeshift studio, a keyboard his father found on the side of the road, a beat-making machine, and a 4-track recorder. While his friends were playing basketball outside, Fahim was diligently learning how to adjust the pitch-cut beats and add effects, as if he were tinkering with his own life. By 1999, he joined Nappy Heads, a local rap group. And just like every genius in the group, Pain did, it all produced DJ'd, rapped, sang hooks. But talent is sometimes a double-edged sword. The group started to get jealous. They said Pain was favored because his father was a manager. They were annoyed to find out that Pain was recording solo music, even though they themselves were secretly doing the same. Result: Nappy Heads broke up. A chapter closes. And thank goodness for that, because who needs that kind of drama? Fast forward to 2004. T-Pain released F-Dub, a remix of Akon's song Locked Up. Just one song, but it was enough to change my whole life. When Akon heard, he immediately asked, "Hey, who is this kid?" He started contacting T-Pain and wanted to sign a contract. Immediately, Pain fell into the crosshairs of major companies. But at the same time, Interscope also approached him, putting $900,000 on the table for a signing bonus, plus another $900,000 for the single I'm Sprung. A terrifying number for a poor boy from Tallahassee. But then Akon looked directly at Pain and said, "Listen, I don't have $900,000. I only have $20,000. But I can give you something bigger than money. I'll give you a career." And true to the spirit of those who built empires from scratch, Pain chose a career over cash. He signed with Convict Music, but only as a songwriter, not as a real singer. And he's perfectly happy with that. But if there were a time machine going back to the moment he signed with Convict Music, would T-Pain accept being behind the scenes as a stepping stone? So will you choose to sign that $1 million contract? And one of the first songs T-Pain wrote for Akon was I'm Sprung. The song exploded like Popeye's chicken sandwich did when it first came out. By December of the same year, he released his debut album, Rapper Turned Sanga. And when I say the game changed, it's true. The debut album climbed to number 40 on the Billboard 200, So T-Pain was every place. But the place that really helped him make a killing is feat. In 2007, T-Pain was on everyone's track Ludacris, R. Kelly, Bow Wow, and especially DJ Khaled. Without T-Pain singing the auto-tuned hook, it's like you're not serious about pursuing a music career at all. T-Pain dominated hip-hop in 2007. T-Pain doesn't just feature on hit songs. He became the catalyst for creating hits. He doesn't just create music. He created the sound of an entire generation. What about DJ Khaled? Don't let the images of "We the Best," Major Key, or the social media king of today fool you. Back then, Khaled wasn't yet a mogul. He wasn't yet someone who stood alongside Jay-Z or Beyoncé. He's just a Miami DJ trying to break into the mainstream, and who brought Khaled out of the darkness. T-Pain, the "I'm So Hood" hook by Pain, "All I Do Is Win." Pain elevated it to the level of a national anthem. And please remember this detail very carefully, because in just a moment you'll see the true face of this DJ, a cunning wolf in sheep's clothing. From 2007 to 2011, T-Pain dominated the entire music industry like a roaring V8 engine under the hood. The schedule is packed and money is pouring in. Record a few songs in the same night. Low with Flo Rida and Shawty with Plies on the same night. And like every great story, the ascent is always accompanied by a part of the fall. And trust me, the drama is just starting to heat up. 2. The snap that changed the hip-hop ecosystem. Everyone knows, T-Pain is the king of autotune. Unlike now when autotune is widespread, T-Pain brought it in to make a difference. But in the eyes of many contemporary artists, he became a scapegoat. It's not because Pain uses autotune, but because people who can't sing are imitating autotune to cover up their weak, real voices. Christina Aguilera wore a shirt that said, "Autotune is for cowards." And it reached its peak when Jay-Z dropped the song "Death of Autotune." To put it bluntly, Jay-Z thinks autotune is overused and needs to disappear from the industry. As the person who brought autotune into the industry, T-Pain was immediately offended. I feel like Jay-Z is intentionally dissing me, although Jay-Z has denied in interviews that he was talking about T-Pain. But the problem is when Jay-Z attacks the very thing that made T-Pain famous, it's hard for others to think differently. T-Pain defaults to thinking that anyone who mentions autotune is talking about him. Jay-Z saying autotune is bad means he's pointing at me. And even worse, that song absolutely destroyed T-Pain's career. He started getting a backlash, even being booed during the performance. After being booed and intoxicated, T-Pain almost released a diss track about Jay-Z, but that track was never released. He went to Jay-Z's concert to show respect, but this did not help his career at all. And things were about to get worse when it came from the words of his idol Usher, "You've ruined real music." T-Pain just chuckled at the time, but when he realized Usher was serious, that comment triggered a 4-year depression. He didn't even realize it at first. He thought it was just tiredness. Meanwhile, things began to fall apart. The show is canceled, the collaboration is gone, and fans are unsure if he's on hiatus or done. And just like the smell of blood spreading in water, the music industry sensed T-Pain was weakening. And DJ Khaled is the fastest to smell it. T-Pain is the backbone of Khaled. Khaled's hit songs and the hooks that audiences remember him by are all associated with the name T-Pain. Pain isn't just a hook for Khaled, he is the soul of Khaled's music. But the industry had changed at that time. Autotune is criticized. The artists started to dodge. Some people publicly attack. While friends, colleagues, and fellow professionals should have stepped forward to help him, a little DJ Khaled chose to stand back and observe, as if he were waiting to see who would be a better replacement. And then, Future appeared. Future is not T-Pain. He doesn't have the high-note technique, the subtle harmonies, or the multi-layered vocal processing of Pain. But Future had exactly what the market wanted at that time: trendy. And in the eyes of a businessman like DJ Khaled, artists are not a legacy. They are a strategy. Future is the trendy version of autotune. It's the easy answer to the question, who's hot right now? So the phone calls that used to be directed toward T-Pain suddenly shifted to Future. Large projects that were previously reserved for Pain now suddenly have Future's name attached. The name T-Pain is gradually being pushed off the board without any announcement. Since then, Khaled has almost disappeared from T-Pain's life. No collaborations, no performance invited, no mention of names. Many fans thought they were taking a break, but in reality, it was a replacement so obvious it was bare. The climax of everything happened when Pain posted an Instagram post related to the Bugatti in Future and Ace Hood's Bugatti music video. People don't know that the car in that music video belongs to Pain. But for Khaled, who wants Future to maintain his position as the new star, that was a blow to the horse he was building. Khaled asked Pain to take down the post. Pain refused gently but firmly. And from that single rejection, a door that seemed solid for many years suddenly closed immediately. When you're at the top, Khaled is your best friend, your brother. But when your fame starts to decline, you'll have to swim alone. Just ask T-Pain. That's the rule. He shows affection for you when you're shining. But if the industry stops shouting your name, he'll move on to the next hot artist. DJ Khaled is definitely the male version of Kim Kardashian. Both Kim Kardashian and DJ Khaled's careers were built on the efforts of black people. But you can't be angry at DJ Khaled or Kim Kardashian. You have to be angry at the entire industry because rappers see Khaled as a schemer, but they still let themselves be exploited. And what makes this story even more infuriating is that Khaled didn't just do this to T-Pain. This isn't the only betrayal. This is a repetitive behavior pattern so sophisticated that if you're not paying attention, you'd think it was just a musical strategy. T-Pain is no longer popular. Future is the new choice. Future paused, and Khaled turned to Drake. Drake began to limit collaborations, and Khaled shifted his focus to Jay-Z and Beyoncé. By the time Jay-Z was too busy and Beyoncé was touring, he jumped to Lil Baby, then Ace Hood, and then anyone the market was calling for. A repetitive cycle benefit: cling, exploit, abandon, seek a new face. That's why people call him a culture vulture, someone who feeds off the cultural contributions of the black community to climb to the top, but never stays to defend or support the very people who gave him the opportunity. It was the beginning of a dark years-long story arc where T-Pain had to learn the harshest truth in the music industry. There's no room for your brothers. They're only by your side when you're still useful. 3. The power move. Silence is powerful enough to be a weapon. After the Bugatti incident and the tensions, T-Pain still thought, well, maybe we can talk it out, settle things, and find common ground. For many years, Pain always believed that Khaled was one of the people who were truly sincere with him. They used to sit for hours talking about family, career, and the fear of being forgotten by the industry. Pain once cried in front of Khaled and said directly, "Bro, those artists are just using you to get radio spins, they're not sincere." He believes that. He believed so strongly that this relationship couldn't end just because of a misunderstanding. But then the phone calls went unanswered. There are no scolding messages. There is no explanation. There's no "I'm busy" or "let's wait for the next project." Everything disappeared as if T-Pain had never existed in DJ Khaled's world. It's like someone deliberately trying to erase your name from the world's contact list. Since Khaled stopped contacting him, a strange thing happened. Other artists also started stopping calling. Those who once asked for free Pain hooks and relied on his voice to create hits suddenly became busy. Suddenly, reevaluate the itinerary. Suddenly, let's see how the album turns out. They all say the same thing as if reading from the same script. It's not hard to see what's happening. Khaled has stopped playing with T-Pain, and Hollywood saw that too. An unwritten rule in the industry. If the most powerful person doesn't use you, no one else will dare to. T-Pain stated directly in an interview, "Khaled shunned me, and when he did, everyone followed." To understand the weight of Khaled turning his back, remember that from 2010 to 2015, Khaled was not just a DJ, not just a producer. He is the bridge for the biggest collaborations. Whoever appears on Khaled's album also appears in the brightest light. Whoever Khaled pushes will also be pushed by the radio, pushed onto playlists, and pushed by the media. This industry operates like a network, and Khaled is a central node. Now imagine if that central node decides not to mention you, not to invite you, not to stand by you. How quickly would you disappear from the entire system's radar? It's not because people don't like T-Pain anymore. It's not because his talent has diminished. And that's because they fear something very human. They fear losing Khaled's favor. Afraid of being seen as someone going against the trend. Afraid of being on the same side as a fading artist. Fear the invisible thing that the music industry always uses as an unwritten rule. Don't collaborate with someone the big shots don't choose. That's a power move, a move that doesn't require threats. No need for war, no words are needed. Just flip a switch from yes to no, and watch the entire industry adjust accordingly. Khaled didn't attack T-Pain, he doesn't swear, no sarcasm, didn't write any tweets. But he withdrew the most precious thing in an industry dependent on relationships' public support. And as a chain of silence spread from Miami to Atlanta, from New York to LA, a silence that has made T-Pain almost invisible in any major album. No more collab email, no more show invitations. No one asks him if he has a new hook anymore. Many people who worked with T-Pain during his peak even requested strange terms. I want T-Pain to sing, but don't let us be in the same shot in the music video. They feared that if Pain was seen as outdated, they would also be dragged down with him. That's when you realize T-Pain is no longer seen by the industry as talent, but as a risk. That silence was like sucking the oxygen out of the room. That's exactly the feeling T-Pain describes. He said, "It's like everyone decided together, don't let him breathe anymore." And just like the ultimate summer hit, all of T-Pain's sounds fade away. Radio began to reduce the frequency of his song broadcasts. The labels are no longer pushing. The press doesn't write. The playlists skip his name. No one publicly stated the reason. No one wants to explain. No one dares to stand by you. But everyone knows why. And that's the cruelty of a power move, cutting off an artist's oxygen supply without saying a word. Khaled knows that very well. And he used it with T-Pain, who once pulled him from the shadows of Miami into the light. A quiet, dirty play. A silent but brutally effective blow. And it was that moment that truly began T-Pain's career decline. 4. $40 million gone. Depression, Blackball, and hitting rock bottom. The psychological breakdown led to everything else. T-Pain is a producer who lives on creative energy, on the childlike excitement of finding a new sound effect. But after those stabs, Pain told him to turn off the machine. No drive left, no more fire. I no longer feel like going into the studio. And when an artist loses their fire, money will start to go with it. What Pain didn't know was that while he was struggling with depression, his financial managers were bleeding him dry. It wasn't blatant fraud, but concealment delay and lack of transparency, which made Pain think he was still okay, still flush, still as rich as he was. From 2007-2011, he said there were times when his account showed millions of dollars remaining. But in reality, part of it is frozen. Part of it is misused. Some of the losses were due to foolish investments that Pain was completely unaware of. He thought money would last forever. The classic mindset of youth when success comes too early. Like an endless stream of money, like a tap that never runs dry. Because he believed in that Pain spent money as if he believed tomorrow would be more successful than today. Supercar buy. A house that's several thousand square feet. Take it. A staff team of 12 people. Pay comfortably. Partying. As soon as the music starts, it's let's go. A top star is easily caught in the illusion that the stage lights never go out. But the light goes out very quickly. When you turn it off, you realize how dark the room is. The biggest mistake isn't spending money. It's like investing in real estate as an amateur. T-Pain bought 8 to 9 different houses, in locations where only someone who thought of himself as a king would dare to spend money. And when the market crashed, each house became a hole that swallowed hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, repairs, and maintenance fees. T-Pain looked at the statement and understood for the first time how cold the feeling of being millions of dollars in the red was. And just as Pain was trying to get back on his feet, trying to make music again, trying to live again, like someone rising from the ashes, the industry shut down before his eyes. Even more harsh is the word of mouth in the backstage, "Don't work with T-Pain." He often tells the truth. He often exposes the industry. Those words spread like dye poured into water. One person's words are enough to make 10 people avoid them. From 10 people to an entire ecosystem. Pain realized he wasn't isolated because his music was bad, but because he didn't play the fake brother game. And people like Khaled, who only collaborate with whoever is hot, have even more reason to distance themselves. Money is running out. Trust is fading. Friends disappear. The world that once hailed Pain as the hitmaker of a generation now treats him as something to be avoided to protect the brand. And finally, T-Pain hit rock bottom literally. From $40 million clean. About nothing. No more 1,000-square-meter houses. No more staff following behind. There are no limousines waiting outside the hotel anymore. No more performances earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a night. Only one father was left sitting in the car looking at an empty bank account and having to borrow money just to buy his child a Burger King meal. Pain once said, "I had to borrow money to buy Burger King for my child, and that's when I realized I had truly hit rock bottom. $2 was a luxury for me back then." 5. T-Pain breaks the silence and says, DJ Khaled's name. 20 years of silence. 20 years swallowed up in unanswered calls. Projects he was cut from without warning industry gatherings, where people looked right through him as if T-Pain had never contributed a single brick to American music. And then, on the sofa of Club Shay Shay, when Shay asked him the hardest thing a seasoned artist could admit, T-Pain simply replied with a sentence that silenced the studio. Khaled hurt me the most. Not an angry tone, not an accusation. That's the kind of voice of someone who has tried to hold on for too long and then finally had to say it to unburden themselves. He said that sometimes he cried in front of Khaled crying because he was more worried about Khaled's career than his own. He said he had warned Khaled about the insincere people around him who only wanted to exploit the name DJ Khaled when he started to become famous. Pain looked at Khaled and said, "I am the only one who is truly sincere with you." That sentence could only come from someone who still believes in friendship. But the truth was bitter and hard to swallow. It was precisely when T-Pain was weakest, when he was deep in depression, when his career stalled, when his $40 million fortune evaporated due to poor management and bad decisions that Khaled was the quickest to turn away. Not a single call to check in. No project is pulling itself up. Not another brother again. The industry abandoned him and Khaled left him with them. And the most painful part is Khaled didn't just stay silent. He chose someone else to replace Pain, choosing to stand beside rising stars to protect his position, even if it meant abandoning the person who had lifted him up from the beginning. What makes older audiences feel heartbroken isn't the betrayal itself, but the way T-Pain tells the story. I'm not angry. Voice not trembling. A face devoid of hatred. Only the sadness of someone who has seen this industry to its core. The things he used to believe in, brotherhood, loyalty, we the best, turned out to be just a facade used by the industry to make artists believe they weren't alone. But when the lights go out, everything disappears, as if it never existed. Finally, Pain sums it up with a line that makes many people swallow hard. It's not one person's fault. This is the fault of the entire system. But anyone with a keen eye would understand that amidst that cold system, Khaled was the one standing closest. The one who saw most clearly that Pain was sinking. And also, the first to let go. When he left the studio that day, no one saw a bitter T-Pain. I only saw a man who finally dared to speak the pain he had carried for 2 decades. A pain with a very clear shape. And that shape unfortunately bears the name DJ Khaled. 6. The rebirth of a legend. There's a truth that anyone who's lived long enough in the entertainment industry understands. When you hit rock bottom, the whole world will act as if they never knew you. And sometimes the very friends who once supported you are the ones who close the first door. T-Pain truly hit rock bottom. He was seen as a has-been cut off from projects that had built the reputations of so many people, including DJ Khaled. Khaled, who once called him brother, patted him on the back. Backstage and stood by him during the biggest hits of his career, was the very person who disappeared the fastest when Pain began to weaken. When the industry no longer considered him a hot commodity, Khaled immediately turned his back, running to Future, then to Drake, and then to everyone who was hot that year. Pain said, "Brother, while they use you." And he understood that saying at the most painful cost. But the most beautiful thing about this story is this T-Pain doesn't need the industry to make a comeback. No radio, no record label, no one calling to apologize. He returned with the very thing they had doubted most, his true singing voice. It all started in a small room, with a microphone and a performance that no one thought would change his destiny, the NPR Tiny Desk concert. No colored lights, no dancers, no effects, no auto-tune. It was just T-Pain, a small band, and a voice that rang out so true, it made people stop in their tracks. America is used to hearing him through auto-tune, which they thought was a cover. But that day, when Pain sang the first notes, millions of viewers finally understood that auto-tune was just an artistic color, never a crutch to help him stand. What has always kept him standing from the beginning is his genuine talent. Tiny Desk videos are every place. Those who mocked him in 2010 suddenly returned to apologize right under the comment. The producers who had previously excluded him from the collaboration list sat in silence, as if they had just realized they had lost an entire era. And Tiny Desk became the moment America had to admit that the industry was wrong. A lot of people are wrong. Among them was Khaled, who remained silent when T-Pain faded, but couldn't open his mouth to admit he was wrong when he saw Pain rise again. But T-Pain didn't stop there. When you entered The Masked Singer, no one thought you would win. A program that is judged solely on vocal ability, not on fame, and doesn't rely on controversy for views. And then once again, he let the music speak for him. As the rounds progressed, the judges and audience began to tilt their heads. This voice is too good to be an auto-tune artist. When the mask was removed, time seemed to stand still. Your name appeared. The entire audience stood up and applauded, not out of surprise, but because they regretted ever forgetting him. That victory was like a sentence delivered straight to the industry's face. You abandoned a genius simply because you chased the new too quickly. Not thanks to the radio, not thanks to the record label. I don't need Khaled's praise. He returned with the truth, something no one could distort again. From here, T-Pain rebuilt his entire life. He rebuilt Nappy Boy Entertainment, but not to be controlled by anyone. This time, it's your own empire. Then he stepped into streaming gaming podcasts and TV shows, places where audiences loved his true self, not the product the industry created. Gen Z and Gen Alpha, the kids who grew up with Buy You a Drink and Bartender, blasting from the radio in the back of their parents' cars, now see T-Pain as a true trailblazer. They don't care who turned their backs on him. They only saw a humorous, humble, extremely talented, and highly symbolic artist. And the irony is, it was the young audience, not the industry, who saved T-Pain. They don't need Khaled to praise him. You don't need the radio to play your music. No need for the record label to decide if he's in or out. They spread the truth with the very power of the age, the internet. And the truth spreads faster than any marketing campaign. Today, the artists who create the sound of the current era, future Travis Scott, Post Malone, Juice, WRLD, Don Toliver, and the new Chris Brown, all acknowledge their influence from T-Pain. And the middle-aged audience, who listened to T-Pain when they were young, understood very well. Without T-Pain, modern music today would not be shaped as it is. The industry almost forgot the creator of the sound of an entire generation. DJ Khaled also almost became part of that oblivion, because he quickly moved past T-Pain to chase after hotter names. But what Khaled didn't expect was the people he thought were climbing high thanks to him, were the very ones who stood up, went far away, and never needed him again. T-Pain is reborn without any backing, no need for a radio, no label needed. I don't need empty brother words. He stepped into the light thanks to the very thing life had tried to extinguish, true talent. And sometimes that's the most beautiful victory for an artist.
All data, analysis, and commentary in this video are presented based on information available at the time of production. The content is subject to change over time and should not be considered a definitive forecast. There is still so much more to explore: stories of resilience, legacy, and truth. Feel free to dive into some of our top recommended videos now appearing on your